My name is James Liberty, and I was born July 5, 1948 in Detroit, Michigan. My Uncle Gus was big into photography. He says, take all the pictures you can when you get over there. Still pictures and movie pictures and Super 8 back at that time. So I did.
When did you first get the nickname Skip?
That was from my grandfather back when I was a little lad. But he gave me that nickname of, I have no idea why. My mom and dad, my dad was an electrician. After he got out of the Army and came home, he went to be an electrician. And my mother, she was a housewife. During the war, my mom, when she was really young, worked at the factory in Detroit where I think it was Willow Run, where they made the bombers. And she was like Rosie the Riveter. She worked on the aircraft. And I don't know how old she would have been on that. She must have been really young. And then my mom and dad got married. Then my mother and father, we moved out to Redford Township area, and that's where I spent most of my younger years, Redford Township, down the Detroit area, suburb of Detroit. And, hey, Jude, what high school did you go to, or junior high?
Marshall.
I went to Pierce, right? Yeah, I went to Pierce junior high. Then I went to Thurston High School. That's where I met Judi, in Thurston High School. And we had a couple classes together. I know I was synchronized swimming. I did all the swim classes. I liked the water sports and stuff. But we met in synchronized swimming. I think we arranged it where we had the class the same time. And we just did all that. We graduated together in 67. Oh, yeah, then I had to go in the Army. I got out of high school, and I know they had the draft going, so I called the draft board up one day and asked them when I was going to get drafted. Afterwards, I talked to my dad, because my dad was in World War II, and he got shot. He got wounded. I said, Dad, what do you think I should do here? He says, why don't you enlist in something, get an education out of it, and maybe you can use it later on in life after you get out of the Army. So I said, okay. So I went down to the recruitment board and took some tests down there, and they said, I'd like to get in aviation. See, you like aviation. And you had to do a bunch of mechanical stuff and all that. I said, sounds great. What would I be doing? He says, working on helicopters and stuff. I said, sounds good to me. Found out what I had to do, so I had to go get my physical before you go in the Army. And that was down at Fort Wayne in Detroit. Now it's a museum, so it gives you an idea how old I am. So after that, I actually went in the Army, went down to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and my family took me down there, and Judi came with me. Hugs and kisses and tears and all that, and they took off. So I did my basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky from October till February or March time frame, somewhere around there, in 69. I kind of enjoyed like basic training. Back then, it isn't like now. They used to load us up in, it looked like a semi-truck. They just pack us in there and take us out to the range. I actually started with the M14, and I liked that gun. I could take that gun apart blindfolded and put it back together. I scored expert on everything I shot with that thing. Then about halfway through basic training, or 3/4 of the way through basic training, we were introduced to the M16. And I thought that was the ultimate, that thing. But they were cool. I liked them a lot. But a lot of the stuff I knew, because I used to hunt and fish before I went in the service. From me being from Michigan and going on north hunting all the time, I'm surprised how many 18, 19-year-olds didn't know nothing about that. I thought everyone did. We all got along real good most of the time. And of course, we had some scuffles occasionally. I remember having to clean the barracks, so some guys wouldn't do it, didn't like to do it. Well, they learned later on by persuasion. And we went through all that stuff. But it didn't hurt you. Learn how to take care of your clothes and learn how to make your bed. There was nothing wrong with that.
I'm going to start showing you some of the footage. I'm going to put the laptop on your lap and then hit play.
Oh, okay. This basic training picture here is probably when I first got there. Now that I think about it, I think my Uncle Gus did come down there. Yeah, and that's the parking lot where, yeah, now it's all coming back. And all these guys in basic training here, they all had different MOSs. A lot of them went to infantry. And I wonder how many of them survived. Because at the end of basic training, the sergeant calls off where you're going, your orders, and saying, you're going to so-and-so, MOS so-and-so, and you knew 11B, you don't want that. A lot of them got to 11B, infantry. This is my Uncle Gus, the guy that got me into the filming and stuff, the one that told me to take pictures of everything when I got over there. This is his place up north. And that's his dog, Weimer. But he was big for Tiger. We used to call him Cecil B. DeMille. Okay, it's over. And from there, they sent me to turbine engine school. NM was mine at that time with 68B20, which was a turbine engine repairman. So after I graduated from school, I had, I think, about a 2-week leave break. And then they sent me over to Vietnam.
What was your attitude on the war when you were going into Vietnam?
Oh, well, I knew I was going because that's when they had the draft. So I wasn't going to run to Canada or nothing like that. So I knew I was going. But when I got over there, I said, holy smokes, only if the Americans could see what's going on here. It was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It was just, I could see why they wanted help over there. My mother's brother was big into photography, and he's the one that coaxed me along to do a lot of this stuff with the cameras. And I took everything. He says, sometime in the future, you'll be able to use them. And I think this may pay off. I don't know. Just, he said, take pictures of everything. And I did. Okay, just hit it now, right?
Yep.
When I got over there, I think I flew out of Fort Dix, New Jersey. That's where we were going to leave to go to Vietnam. We flew from Fort Dix to Alaska, I think we went to. Then from Alaska to Japan, then from Japan to Benoit, I think it was. And it seems like we would never get there. I just won't forget that. I can't believe how large the oceans were. Here, it looks like I don't remember this. Maybe that's when I landed in Alaska. Yeah, that's probably what it is, when I landed in Alaska. Holy smokes, there I am, Jude. I guess we're taking off. I guess I did have my movie camera when we... Oh yeah, there's an Air Force base. Yeah, that's C-141s. The older version. MAC, Military Airlift Command. My very first day, I'll always remember this one. I remember landing there in Benoit, and I remember that first night we had, it was like a bag of water with a bunch of spigots around it. And it must have been, I don't know how many around that. We were sitting there, this is late at night, getting a drink of water, because you can hear gunfire and shooting off way in the distance. First day there, first night, oh boy, this is some serious stuff. And all of a sudden, I look up in the sky, and off in the distance, I seen a helicopter flying. I could tell by the sound of it, and I could see the beacon light. And I could see this red line come out of the sky. I went, holy smokes, that's a ray gun. I didn't know we had those. Well, later on, I found out it was a minigun going off. And I'll never forget the sound. It just sounds like a frog to me. It goes a burr, burr. I was there for 1 or 2 days. Then I was on the C-130, sent me up to Da Nang over to Marble Mountain. I said, great, I'm going to be stuck on a mountain for a year. Now, just before I went to Vietnam, I went and seen that movie, John Wayne with the Green Beret, I think it was. And I had all kinds of visions going through my mind at that time. I got to the base, and the assignment said, yeah, you're going to be here, and you're going to be there. Here's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be working in the engine shop and all that. I says, okay, that sounds cool. And they said, oh, by the way, you're going to have to do Zulu Guard. All the new guys did Primer Guard, and they call it Zulu Guard. And we had towers, and we had bunkers, and the barbed wire fences and the regular fences, and we put claymore mines out. And that's in case they came through the fence and stuff, we could have fun, target practice. I went back to the company after my 30 days was up to work on aircraft. And that's what I did. I worked on aircraft, turbine engines. And our mission was just to support the troops out in the field. We would do anything from haul beans, bullets, food, medevac, pick up prisoners. We did that a few times. You name it. That's my hooch. That's my old bunker there. 5260, and that's the barrels along it. The hooch right behind me. They took a direct hit with a rocket before I got there. Killed 2 or 3 guys, I remember now. Well, there's little hooch me. She probably washed our clothes, and they swept up, polished our boots. Yeah, there's our flight line. I'll be darned. Wow, there's our gunships, our slicks. You can see all the revetments. There's one of our B or C models taken off. There's me working on a turbine engine. I remember that guy and I remember that guy, but I don't remember. Oh, man. Holy smokes. Yeah, we're doing a hot end section. You take the back end of the engine off. You check it out. Look for cracked blades, turbine blades, burnt blades. Just inspect it. So there's one of our gunships with a small rocket pod. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the miniguns on it. Well, right now there I'm with a hose. I'm cleaning the inside of the engine off. The engine's running. You can see the prop going around there. Oh, there was Marble Mountain Air Facility. Well, I gotta learn how to hold the camera more still. There's a bunch of little Vietnamese kids going through the garbage looking for whatever. Food, probably. I don't remember where that's at. What are we doing here? Looks like we set off a claymore mine. Oh, yeah. Oh, this must have been by the PX where you could have engraving done on your lighters. Everyone got lighters engraved. I had engraving on my lighters that freedom has a flavor the protected will never know. And on my lighter, I had the little black cat emblem we had them put on our lighters. What happened to that? Oh, there's Monkey Mountain. No, that's Marble Mountain. At the very top and inside of it, a Viet Cong were. They had tunnels and stuff in there. And between the mountain and us and the camp, there was a Special Forces camp in Green Beret, and there was a prison camp. I remember going down to the prison camp. That might be in some of these movies here. Getting some prisoners out to fill sandbags for us. Well, here we are on a motorcycle going out to past the free fire zone, past Monkey Mountain, or Marble Mountain. We said, let's go out there one day, check it out. When we were out there, remember that, an F4 comes down about a mile from us. I see him diving, like shooting. All of a sudden goes down, drops off a bomb. I said, I don't know if we should be out here. Maybe we ought to head back. I don't know if I got that on film or not. Two little kids giving us the peace sign. Well, GI hats on. You kind of wonder if they're still alive. There I am, Jude. Helmet and Judi helmet. What's he doing there? Oh, that's the camera. Oh, move the camera.
And they're in color. Did you do that?
No, they're all in color.
APC, that's probably an APC, I think. Clowning around. Look at that duck walk. It looks like dawn. Oh yeah, the mortar rounds. Oh, that's the one I got over there, probably. Do you see those mortar rounds I got? They're on the table there. Yeah, that looks like that one there. That's probably a flare one right there. Usually the mortar round blows all up. That's what gets you the shrapnel. And I'm trying to show what the difference is there. Oh, we're firing at something. Oh, we're just probably shit shooting. They're full auto. I don't know this one. Going into a village.
It's pretty amazing after over 50 years how we see that.
Can you tell me about that mortar round you picked up?
Yeah, it's actually a flare round. They can drop these from the helicopter or shoot them off, I presume. But these little things where the parachute was hooked on to, they would float down and light up the area immensely in a small area. Then that's, they could tell where they're shooting and stuff. And this one here actually might be a mortar round. I don't know. It's all, and the Vietnam vet guys out there know that's shrapnel. It breaks up in a bunch of little pieces. That's what you get hit with. The flying stuff we did, we just all over the place we went. We had everything from the Hoi, our AO was from the Hoi An River up to the DMZ, then from South China Sea over to Ashall Valley. That was our AO, and we covered that whole area with our AO. Because after I was there about 6 to 9 months, somewhere around there, the guys would come back from the missions, the crew chiefs and the door gunners, and tell me the different stories that they flew over here, got to see this, and they seen that, and then went to Hashaw Valley and got to do some assaults and, take troops in, take troops out, take the wounded out, and so forth. I said, that sounds kind of interesting, sounds kind of cool. So one day we got a new ship in the unit. We lost a few ships. Well, we lost more than a few, quite a few actually. And they replaced them. So when we got that new helicopter, we had a crew chief and they were looking for door gunners. So I said, I'll volunteer. So I volunteered to be a door gunner. And that's how I got to wound up doing some flying. I didn't fly all the time. I got to see a lot of the country, got to see some of the fun stuff and some of the not so fun stuff. I remember one of the first times I was flying, we were up north of Da Nang, and I don't remember whereabouts. And a big puff of black smokes are in front of me. And you could hear the explosion or see the flash real quick, then black smoke. And then I asked the pilot, and I hit the key on the intercom system. We'll go, what's that? He says, they're after you. Those are rocket propelled grenades. I said, oh. So he pulls pitch and we went up a little bit higher so we could get out of that range. It was real pretty where I was. It was all jungle and stuff, all green and stuff. But, of course, it was all, you could see all the crater holes from bombs that gone off, especially the ones from the B-52s. Those are just unbelievable. And otherwise, then it was thick jungle.
Did you have any encounters with the NVA or the VC?
Just from when I shoot from the air to the ground with a machine gun, but that's it. Shooting. But you don't know. Sometimes you see the light coming at you, or you see the light, and sometimes you see the smoke. Not all the time, but some of the time. And you just blast in there, hoping to get in that area with your machine and an M60. You shoot in that area, hope you're getting there. But you don't know if you got someone, or you missed, or what, because you're flying. I had some pictures of it. We took a couple, 2-3 prisoners back with us on the Huey, and they had a guy with them, a guard with them, a Vietnamese guard. They weren't NVAs, they were Viet Cong, because they had the garb on. The NVA, usually, they're in actual uniform. We landed in Da Nang, Maine, I think. And, of course, there was security down there. When we landed, they were there to pick them up, to take them, interrogate them, whatever they do. They were good. The doors were open, and we always pinned the doors back while we were flying during the non-monsoon season. And they probably heard the stories that if we weren't good or did the wrong thing, we'd throw them out. Or the guy that's got them would throw them out. But we had no problem, no issues. I mean, we used to get hit a lot where I was. It seemed like when you're in your bunkers at night, they always hit us at night with mortars and occasional rockets. The rockets I was definitely afraid of. I remember my first attack I went through when I first got over there. I was sleeping in my bunk, and I don't know what time of night it was, but I heard a big bang, and I didn't think much of it. And some guy come by me, threw me out of bed, and said, "Get your butt in the bunker." I go, "What's going on?" He says, "We're getting hit." And by that time, you could hear the mortars coming in. It's like you see in the movies, the explosions and stuff. And I run in the bunker, I went, "Whoa, this is some serious stuff here." So sirens are going off. So after it's all done, you come out of the bunker and you walk around, see who got hurt, see what they wrecked or destroyed or whatever. I bought a 1800 SD Acaia tape recorder, reel to reel. And because the guys would, we would get things real cheap over there. So I went to PX and bought one of those. And my intent was to buy this recorder and put it on when we got hit at night to show my mom and dad and Judi what it was like. My dad was familiar with it. So I remember a few times when the rounds start coming in, mortar rounds, I would flip this thing on and run into the bunker and wait till everything's all over and then come back out of the bunker. I says, "Well, that's what it sounds like when you're going through an attack, Mom, Dad, Judi." I never heard it, so I still haven't heard it to this day.
As broadcast the threat that Da Nang will be hit tonight or tomorrow with one of the bloodiest attacks ever. U.S. monitors in Saigon say that they have not heard the broadcast, but South Vietnamese forces in and around Da Nang are reported on full alert at this hour. Well, Cambodia's 5 universities have closed to male students so that they can undergo emergency.
This recording you just heard of the radio station, that was done April 4th about 11 o'clock at night. And what you're going to hear after I'm done talking is what they predicted that night. So listen good. We just got done making that one recording, and we were sitting here, and we heard a round go off. I was just putting the tape recorder back in the box this guy's got set up. And here goes the cameras again. Goodbye. Come on, let's get out of here. Leave it on, leave it on.
This is the flight line, and I remember that guy, I can't remember his name, he used to work on the flight line with me, or in the engine shop. That's a mortar around that he's pointing at right now. It hit the PSP. Didn't penetrate it, so might have been a smaller mortar. I don't know. Oh yeah, the roof of the hangar got hit. Now I forgot about that. Went right through the roof. Holy smokes. You see all the holes there from the shrapnel and stuff. This is my bunker, my old bunker. And the PSP right there, that's where we used to scrape our backs on. You see all the bunkers, all the barrels are. And there's one that hit right outside the bunker. Son of a ooch. I'll be there. All the barrels are blasted. That's the mess hall. Right there on the left is the mess hall. That's where there's the menus, and people had KP or cook duty or whatever. 282nd, so yeah, Black Cat's mess hall. There, it took a round in the corner. There's the cook. You what you doing? Two rounds there. Here's another round. I went in another. It's a big one. They said one time that they called one of the hooch mates with a map. And I don't know if I believe all this, but had a map on her. And she had the footage between the buildings, bunkers, and so forth. Took that sandbag and Blu-rayed it. Wow. Bob Hope show, we all knew he was coming because we were at a big base. It was at Da Nang, wasn't at my base. We all prepared, and everyone was trying to get, I don't know if we had to get tickets or just go. I think we just went. You didn't have to pay nothing. So I said, I'm going to make up a sign, because from the time the Bob Hope show was going to be in Da Nang was 130 days from the time Judi and I got married. So I spent time making this big old poster. I rolled it all up. All the guys made fun of me, teased me, and all that stuff. I said, I don't care. I'm going to get on top of the hill and mount on top of that hill there. And I know the camera do their sweeps and stuff. And they like zeroing in on stuff like that. And I gave my buddy my 35 mil. I had a Yashica 35 millimeter. And I gave him that camera. I says, because he was going to sneak down from the top of the hill where we all were and go down by the stage and get some pictures. And he did get some good pictures.
So this is footage of the Bob Hope show. About 6 reels worth of it.
Really?
Yeah, you had a lot of footage about it. I cut it down into 5.5 minutes.
Holy smokes. Yeah, that there's the Bob Hope helicopter. It's all decked out and stuff. And here's, Christmas time, a gigantic APC. It looks like the reindeer, Santa Claus. They got it all painted up. I don't remember that one there, but boy, for him to do something like that, boy, oh boy, oh boy. It was quite comical. Now I wish I had sound. Doggone it. I remember we had Connie Stevens was there. Those might be the Gold Diggers. And Miss Universe or Miss Unites, one of the beauty girls. Oh, look at that, dude. Holy smokes. A lot of people. Look at them on this hill. That must be the end of it. They're packing up. Here we go. I even cut holes in it so the wind could blow through there. Judy's birthday is the 27th of December. I remember leaving Vietnam to go on my R&R and meet her in Hawaii. The first thing I did when we went to Hawaii, Judy was already there, if I remember. Yeah, she was already there. And we landed, and the girls were wives, girlfriends, whatever, fiancés, are lined up on both sides, I think. And like, right or wrong. And I remember walking down, and the girls would run out there and grab their boyfriends, husbands, or whatever. And I said, the first thing we did, I went out and rented a motorcycle. I rented a 350 Honda, and we went touring the island. That's the first thing we did. There we go, dude. This is a sugarcane field. Oh yeah, they were on the motorcycle. One part of the island's raining, the other part of the island's sunny.
You know how much I loved having my picture taken.
Yeah, we went sightseeing.
We rented a car.
Oh, that little convertible. Oh, yeah, I remember we were over there trying to surf. Being from Michigan, I'm no surfer. I remember Judy got on the board. I said, all I know is just scoop back a little bit when the wave starts coming, paddle, lay down, and get up when it starts going away. And all of a sudden I hear it's way she going. I mean, dripping wet, she weighed 98 pounds, I think. I never seen this. This is remarkable. The time goes so damn quick. And we were there for New Year's Eve. I remember we were up in the hotel room at midnight, or before midnight, and I went to sleep, fell asleep. And they throwing firecrackers out the top of the floors above me. But man, it scared the shit out of me. Until I realized where I was.
The next one is called Low Leveling on the Day I Got Back from R&R. Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, I do. And some of it I do.
What do you remember?
I remember when I got back from R&R, I was depressed, you know. Had a good time. Huh. It was a bar for me to come back. I did want to go back, obviously. And they had a mission or something. I wanted to know if I'm going to go flying. I go, yeah, I'll go. So we went on a mission. I think it was okay. Nothing bad or nothing like that. It was okay. Well, it's just hard to leave and go back. Yeah, I don't know where we are when I was flying. But it was kind of cool to do that. You get right on the deck. I got flashbacks of that right there. Going down that river. You were cooking. That was fun. It's dangerous to do. If you had an engine failure or something, like you go out the barn. There's a camp. I don't know if that's the Rock Marines outside of our base or not. On the other side of Marble Mountain. That's just
Sitting as a dork under, huh?
sitting on the side. Well, I'd have to lean over to take these pictures. Yeah, this is the one. The perimeter was all tanks. Oh, holy smokes. There's my 60. Rice paddies. Oh, yeah. Holy smokes. Some of that is pretty cool. A lot of Americans should see this. They don't know how lucky they are.
Did any of the other guys take as many movies as you did?
No. I was the only nutcase over there doing that, I think. I don't remember that many guys. They took a lot of the still pictures and stuff like that. But the movie cameras, no, I can't remember anyone else take a lot of them like I did. People ask me if I took any movies while I was flying. Well, and during on a combat assault, well, you can't because you got to have your hands on the gun. And I couldn't operate back then. I had no way of knowing how to do it. Putting my movie camera on my gun or attach it to something, I didn't have that luxury. No. Vung Tau was an in-country. I was told it was an in-country R&R center for short R&Rs, and it was also a school down there that I went to. Advanced Turbine Engine Repair School. So they asked me if I wanted to go. I go, sure, I'll go down there. And matter of fact, they had an in-country R&R center down there for the VC too, supposedly. That's why I don't know how true all this stuff is. But so I went down there for a couple of weeks to go to school. And it was pretty cool down there. It was nice. We were right on the ocean, as some of the pictures you've seen. Good place to go, get away from where I was for a while. Up there at Marble Mountain. Boy, did they beat us up. They mortared us and did everything they could think of. And we had a mortar, or we all had a mortar go off there in front of us on the other side of the blast wall. And we thought the world was caving in because everything shook. Like you see in the movies, the sand would shake and fall down between the PSP and stuff. I went, oh boy, this ain't good. But it quit. That was probably the last mortar. And I went outside to see the hole. I went, holy shit, that was close. So then there was other times we'd get hit. They'd drop a few rounds in and, harassment stuff. Then I remember one time we got hit with around 40 or 40-some mortars one night. Boy, it just pounded us. So, but we didn't lose anyone. But that's basically what it was like. We were fortunate. We could come out of our hooch and go right into our bunker. High Van passes it was a road that it was part of Highway 1, I think it was. And we had a ship get shot down or went down on the other side of High Van, north of us, north of Da Nang. And we had to go get it, so we loaded up a flatbed and a truck. We borrowed it from a transportation company. 4 or 5 of us got on there for security because they said they used to take a lot of rounds, snipers up there when you go over the pass. Oh yeah, I can't remember him, he's a clown. There was about 5 of us there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Him back there, 5, 6, the 2 drivers, 7. Yeah, they say it wasn't a real good area to go through because you're going over a saddle on a mountain like. Wow. That guy had 14. He's got a 16. Everything south of Marble Mountain where we were at was their free fire zone. Everything north of Da Nang, where I was at, was their free fire zone. So you didn't need clearance to shoot for anything. Look at those roads, unbelievable. What? Oh, we stopped and helped a bunch of guys from the 101st. Now I remember. 101st infantry guys were out there, and they needed a ride somewhere. We go, I'm on. And that's all these guys. That's the heroes. Look at all that stuff they had. They lived out in the jungle for a couple of weeks, a month, a week, whatever. They needed a ride to go somewhere. Oh, we must have a broken truck. Well, this is like looking at some of the old movies. Of course it is. What's that guy trying to say? A lot of people. Man, what a life. God. F-4 Phantom. Bad aircraft. Well, the guys I worked at in the engine shop with me, you know, you get to know everyone. And some of the guys, the one guy, John, he was from Washington. I can't remember his last name. And there was another guy, Rivera, his last name, I remember. And Evans. I can't remember the first name. And I always wonder what happened to those guys, what are they doing. I've been to a couple, a reunion we had in Atlanta. Can't remember the Army base down there. We went to that. I didn't know a soul. Everyone was 50 years older. I couldn't tell who was who. All the other guys, no, I don't know. I don't know what happened to them.
Do you know how many combat assaults you flew?
No, I would say I earned the air medal, so you got to fly so many CA's combat assault to get the air medal, and I forget what it is, and you get it for so many flying hours too. I remember picked up some prisoners, took them back, picked up some wounded guys, took them back to the hospital across the base from us. We would know if it was going to be a hot CA or not. A hot CA is when they're shooting at you and stuff and you're coming in. They try to prep the area ahead of time with the airstrikes, artillery stuff, so it ain't as bad. Then we would come in, and sometimes if they were a hot CA, they'd come in guns a-blazing. You know, they're shooting at you, you're shooting back. Then sometimes you go, they say you're going to be in a hot area, you would have nothing. It's cool. It's all these helicopters are flying, you know, 2,000-3,000 feet, bringing the troops and stuff. We all land, drop off the troops, all take off. No guns shooting, no nothing, it was cool. No one's getting hurt.
What was your last day in Vietnam like?
Glad to get out of there. And I think you had a couple of days to get ready. Once you got your orders to get out of there, you knew when you were leaving, and the company vehicle would take you to the airport. As long as you had those orders in hand, it was nice. And usually had a couple of days prior to that, so you're just giving stuff out that you're not going to need no more to your other buddies or whoever, and just backing up your stuff, waiting to get out of there. When the bird took off, the Freedom Bird, as soon as those wheels left the pavement, everyone's yelling and screaming. And Yahoo, and I won't forget that part. Just like you see in the movies, it's the exact same thing. Everyone's yelling and hooray and all that. And it was great to get home. But the funny part about it, and this is the sad part about it, you know, I don't know if they're all like this, but a lot of the guys would come back in the middle of the night. That's back then when they were Vietnam baby killers, or, you know, they booed the Vietnam War veterans and all that. I remember coming back late at night and landing in California, in L.A., or I don't remember what city, but I remember they get off the airplane, they rush me in, get me fitted with a brand new Class A's with all my ribbons and patches and everything I earned, and give me my steak dinner, and they give me a ticket to go to, well, I'm from Detroit at the time, they gave me my ticket to get to Detroit. And I didn't tell my family or Judi when exactly I was coming home. They knew I was coming. And I rented a car and went home, surprised Judi, first thing I did.
What was that like?
I barely got a couple of knocks on the door, and the door flew open. I almost went off the porch. So that explains it all.
Did your outlook on the war change when you left as opposed to when you first got there?
No. Americans are spoiled rotten, period. And they don't know how lucky they got it. If they could see how other parts of the world live, they'd be very fortunate. But no, I have no changes in attitude about it. They needed help over there desperately bad, and we tried to help. I had about 6 weeks off when I got back from Nam. I had my 30-day vacation. I was guaranteed that. Then I took a 2-week extension on it because I didn't want to interfere with the wedding. And so I just stayed home. We got married, got our things together and all that. Then I had another 1.5 years left to go in the Army. Then I had to head out to Fort Lewis, Washington. So we packed up, I bought a Firebird 400, and I packed up our trailer, or U-Haul trailer I think we had, and headed out to Fort Lewis, Washington to get out there to finish the rest of my 3-year contract.
How often would you retell stories about Vietnam?
Hardly at all now. And no one asked too much about it, except some of your old Vietnam. But, well, they don't even say nothing about it, because everyone knows what we did. When I went out to Fort Lewis, Washington, they knew I was a Vietnam veteran. There wasn't too many Vietnam veterans that came back that were reassigned to another unit. But a lot of people then would ask you, what was Vietnam like? But that's the only times I would bring it up. Basically, then you can start talking, everything's fresh on your mind then. You can talk all day long.
What were your thoughts when you heard about the end of the war and how it ended?
Well, I thought it could have been better than that, what happened. I felt sorry for the people. You know, after I left there, and I imagine everyone's basically the same way, it kind of just fades away.